So today we're going to be talking about heating efficiency and it being one of the most cost-effective strategies a building can take to reduce energy costs. Today we're specifically talking about large buildings, and really our focus will be on multifamily buildings. So we're going to do a brief introduction about clean heat, talk about major heating efficiency measures that buildings might want to consider. We'll also be discussing the new DEP efficiency regulations. After that, we're going to hand it over to some of our guest speakers here. We have James Manorino from NYSERDA, Akil Friday from Edison, and Lou Rizzo from National Grid, who will be discussing the incentive programs that can help you pay for some of these measures we're going to be discussing. And then finally, we'll have a Q&A. So for those of you who don't know, Clean Heat is part of Plan NYC. Although it affects energy and climate change, this is really an air quality program. And this is because the Department of Health found that PM 2.5, or spit pollution that comes from buildings burning 4 and 6, has an extremely high impact on public health in New York City. We've already seen a lot of accomplishments from the program and a reduction in this type of harmful pollution since the program started. The 2013 results have shown that there's been close to 800 deaths prevented a year annually because people are switching off of heavy heating oils, and thousands of hospitalizations and emergency room visits. So this is a really impactful program. It's really important if your building is burning heavy heating oil still, number 4, number 6, that you stop using it, not just for the operations of your own building, but also for the health of all New Yorkers. This map shows you where the pollution was the densest when the survey was first done in 2008, and you can see on the right how much progress has been made, and this is from last winter's survey. But you can still see that there's areas of the city that still have a lot of this pollution, that still have a lot of buildings burning 4 and 6, and that's where we really need to focus. So as a result of the health findings, the Department of Environmental Protection issued regulations to phase out heavy heating oil. So I'll just go over this briefly. The phase out is happening in 2 phases. The first addresses number 6, and we're actually coming to almost to the end of that. All number 6 in the city is going to be eliminated by 2015. And this is because permits for number 6 are not being renewed since 2012. And since these permits are renewed every 3 years, by 2015 there will be no more legal permits for number 6. The same exact thing is going to happen for number 2, except it's going to happen a little bit later. So the full phase out will be in 2030, meaning it will start in 2027. But even though that seems like a really far time in the future, and you have plenty of time if your building is burning 4, it actually could come a lot sooner than that. Because if you have to replace your burner or boiler for any reason in this time, you're going to have to go to the cleanest fuel then. So people who are on 6 now, who are thinking that 4 is just the easy thing to do, think about it again, because you might have to do a conversion twice, which is just a waste of time and money for everybody, let alone to think about the health impacts that we talked about. So with Clean Heat, we're completely fuel neutral. As long as you're moving off of 4 and 6, we'll help you assess any of the other options out there. Predominantly, we see a lot of ultra-low sulfur number 2 heating oil. We call it ULS2. That can be blended with biodiesel. We also see natural gas, steam, and other alternatives like cogeneration and geothermal. So to help buildings who need to comply with the regulations get off of the heavy heating oil, Clean Heat was set up to provide technical assistance, financial assistance, and information to help these buildings make the switch. Again, you can reach us through our website, nyc.gov/cleanheat, through 311, through info@, and our team of account managers will work directly with your building to help you figure out the best solutions for you. So now that we have a little background on Clean Heat, I'm going to hand it over to Luke Sterwick with Clean Heat, and one of our account managers, to talk to you about heating efficiency.
Thanks, Laura. So just generally, heating efficiency, we talk about the most high-impact, low-cost strategies that will reduce your energy demand and of course increase the comfort of your building. Some of those include domestic hot water efficiency, steam system efficiency, since that's a lot of the buildings that we see here in New York City, heating control measures, weatherization, and boiler efficiency and maintenance. So in terms of domestic hot water efficiency, a lot of times hot water can actually comprise a majority of the heating load for the year-round heating load for a building. And one of the best strategies in terms of efficiency is to actually separate the space heating from your domestic hot water heating. By doing so, you can actually turn off your space heating for months at a time, and you won't have to run your large boiler anytime there's a demand for hot water. In addition to that, your domestic hot water system can actually run on its own energy source or supply. A lot of times, especially here at Clean Heat, we see many buildings, even though they want to convert their main heating load to, for example, natural gas, might not have that option. If you have a separate system, you can run it on two separate fuels. For example, you can have their heating system run on oil, while the domestic hot water on natural gas. Additionally, you can have other sources of energy, such as solar thermal, which is a great option to either supplement or just replace the source. Of course, there are other measures such as low flow fixtures and energy efficient appliances. And one of the easiest measures is to just reduce the domestic hot water temperature to which is set at a building, just to reduce the heating load. And in terms of steam system efficiency, because like I said earlier, most of the systems we see are steam, there are a number of easy strategies that a building can employ to basically have a more efficient system. Maintaining and replacing steam traps and valves is a really easy one and a really important one. Some of the studies we've seen where steam traps and air valves can actually reduce fuel use by up to 20%. Of course, balancing a system in order to prevent certain parts of the building from being cold and hot during the winter months is really important. Maintaining low boiler pressure, so you want to have that pressure be at lowest possible in order to distribute the heat throughout the building. And water conditioning, which helps to prevent buildup in your system and basically improve the heat transfer in your boiler system. Other low-cost measures like pipe and boiler installation are really important. A lot of buildings in New York City still haven't taken advantage of putting in these measures. And of course, putting in radiator valve or shutoff valves. And this basically gives an option inside the unit, to have some sort of control over the system and the heating. Great efficiency measures. Heating control systems are another really important factor, and these kind of can run the gamut of really small systems and then very large, robust management systems that can actually monitor and help your system operate properly. So these large systems can be computerized, and your maintenance team can keep tabs on everything that's going on in the building. Usually these involve installing some sort of interior temperature controls, combustion efficiency controls, and that will feed into a system to give data for the team. Employing zoning systems is also important. Most buildings in New York are built on have been built as just one zone. So separating the building by having different zones to only distribute the heat to the parts that are actually where the heat is actually needed. And of course, radiator controls, and we talked about that a little bit earlier with the temperature control valve. Now, in terms of weatherization, this is a really important measure. It's basically meant to improve the building envelope in the general sense. It's to help protect the building from outside elements. The Weatherization Assistance Program, which we'll talk about a little bit later, it's a state program, actually has average annual savings of about 20% through some of the weatherization measures, and a lot of them are really low cost. Air sealing is a really important measure. Insulation, painting your roof white or installing a white coated roof is a great option, an easy one. Of course, heating system upgrades are a lot of times part of the weatherization measures. Installing weather stripping and caulking of the windows and doors, again, to improve the envelope of the building. And if necessary, replacement of single glazed windows can be a good option, but only usually if it's a single glazed, really old window. And upgrading your appliances and lighting throughout the building also is one of the things on the list for weatherization programs. And of course, here at Clean Heat, we talk a lot about boiler efficiency and maintenance. So this is one of our really important ones. The thing that we talk about at Clean Heat the most is fuel and the type of fuel that you're using. So using the cleanest fuels available is a great efficiency measure in itself. Performing the annual combustion efficiency testing and tune-ups per DEP regulations, and then supplementing that to actually cleaning your boiler more often than just once a year is a great efficiency measure. In the picture right there, you can actually see the boiler tubes before and after they're cleaned. Or when you're burning a heavier grade of fuel, which here at Clean Heat we want folks to get off as soon as possible, you end up not only polluting the air that we breathe, but also the inside of your system where the heat exchange happens, such as here with the tubes. So burning cleaner means less cleaning, more efficient system. Monitoring the stack temperatures and makeup water are also great ways to see if your combustion efficiency is good or not. Also installing burner and draft controls, and employing operation and maintenance plan for each building, specifically to have your property manager, your owner, or board monitor this is really important, and put a plan in place where your maintenance staff is actually educated and has to abide by the laws and rules that you put into effect. And of course, all these things that we talked about can be part of your larger retro commissioning process. That's part of local law 87, which a lot of the buildings in the Clean Heat program, which are over 50,000 square feet, have to comply with. All that can be basically run through that program. And now I'm just going to talk a little bit about the DEP, the new DEP heating efficiency regulations as of February 17th. The DEP now requires that the combustion efficiency, the minimum combustion efficiency for natural gas-fired boilers has to be at least 80%, and for oil it has to be 83%. Now, just to give you an idea, most of the major factors that contribute to this type of the combustion efficiency is stack temperature and excess air level. So you can see a 40-degree reduction in temperature at your stack can actually mean 1% increase in efficiency, and 1% is a lot. So it's really important to monitor that, and now you have to comply with these regulations. And actually, through a study that the DEP conducted throughout New York City boilers, they found that 98% of all the boilers that run on natural gas were above 80%, meaning 2% from the study, about 2% of the boilers will need to improve their energy efficiency, their efficiency, in order to comply with these new regulations. Then, in terms of oil, 10% of the buildings will need to adjust or improve their combustion efficiency in order to comply with these new regulations. And now, the way that DEP will be monitoring these new efficiency regulations is, first of all, you have to perform an annual tune-up and a combustion efficiency testing and keep a record of that for 5 years. And then every time you renew your triannual permit for burning either any of the fuels in New York City, you will have to submit the performance test to DEP, and that's how they will figure out whether or not you are in compliance with efficiency regulations. So this is a really important thing DEP is doing. I think all boilers, need to be a lot more efficient. And some of the ways to get there are, you can see the guidelines: cleaning your tank, cleaning and inspecting your burner and boiler, inspecting the fire side and water side surfaces of the boiler, the breaching, chimney, figuring out the oxygen levels, maintaining the stack temperature, all of these things we talked about earlier in some of the efficiency measures throughout the building. And so there's a lot of money that can be achieved. Actually, in terms of average size building in NYC Clean Heat program, 100,000 gallon building, or a building that burns 100,000 gallons per year, can actually achieve reductions of almost $10,000 to $20,000 with 3% increase in efficiency. So you can see why those regulations were put into place. 3% improvement in efficiency is can be a lot of money and a lot for your bottom line. Thanks.
Great. Thanks so much, Luke. I'm going to hand it over now to some of our guest speakers to talk a little bit about the actual incentive programs that are available to multifamily buildings in New York City to help them implement some of these efficiency measures. So first, we'll hand it over to James from NYSERDA.
All right. Thank you, Laura and Luke. I'm going to talk about some of the incentives available through NYSERDA's Multifamily Energy Performance Portfolio. So the great thing about NYSERDA's program is that it's a whole building approach. And there are 4 stages to our approach. The first one is what we call assess, where you'll work with one of our qualified multifamily performance partners, a consultant that will lead you through the process, and they'll identify a slew of improvements specific to your building. Then the retrofit is conducted, everything's installed. Stage 3, everything's finished. That's when you receive your incentive. And at stage 4, if the building is going for what we call our performance payment, we'll measure the energy performance of the building relative to its baseline to see if the building qualifies for its bonus payment or performance payment. So here's a rundown of our incentive schedule. Firm gas buildings that are affordable are eligible for $1,000 per apartment in the building. Market rate firm gas, $700. Affordable non-firm gas or oil, $800 per unit, and market rate oil buildings, $500 per unit. So we require at least a 15% source energy reduction to achieve those incentives, to be eligible for those incentives. But if the building wants to go above and beyond and go for over 20% in source energy savings, below the table below outlines those incentives on top of the base incentive. So some points to consider relevant to clean heat. Buildings that come in as conversions are eligible for the firm gas level incentive. So if you're an oil building but you're converting to natural gas, and that conversion is part of the energy efficiency work, you'll be eligible for the firm gas level incentive. We do require the 15% source energy reduction, but heating plant and distribution upgrades are always central to achieving that 15%. They usually make up at least 8% of the 15, 8 points of that 15. And if you have an oil building and you're not interested in converting or can't convert to natural gas, we do have a significant amount of funding available for oil buildings. So I'm going to go quickly through a case study of a building that went for a program before. This is available on our website. It's Phipps Garden Apartments in Queens. They received $300,000 in cash grants from NYSERDA. They are saving about $180,000 a year in energy costs. The main measures were to replace the boiler with a dual fuel heating system. They added insulation and air sealed the windows and doors, upgraded apartment and common area lighting, insulated the pipes, and added low flow fixtures. And again, this case study, along with several other case studies, are available on our website. So I guess I'll go quickly through the Weatherization Assistance Program. Generally, what makes this program different from NYSERDA's program is that while our cash incentives go to the owner, Weatherization program incentives are only for affordable rate buildings, and the incentives go to the contractors or service providers. So to be eligible, the buildings have to have at least 50% of the tenants classified as low income. Providers are local nonprofits or public offices, and there's a list of providers on Weatherization's website. But for multifamily projects, owners are required to invest some of their own funds for the retrofit project. So basic weatherization retrofits are a lot of air sealing, adding insulation, improving the heating system and distribution, window replacements, and mitigation of energy-related health and safety issues. And again, to find all of this information and local providers, go to nyc.gov.
Great, thanks. I'm going to turn it over now to Akil from the Con Edison team to talk about the Multifamily Energy Efficiency Program.
Good, thank you, Laura. Good day, everyone. So pretty much Con Edison's Multifamily Energy Efficiency Program, as long as your building are between 5 and 75 units, you're eligible. Your electric and gas measures we have. Customers must pay into the system benefit charge. So if you're looking at your Con Edison bill, you'll see a line item that says system benefit charge. That's you're eligible. We provide a free survey, and buildings must be in our service territory, which pretty much is all of New York City and Westchester County, Orange, and Rockland. And AEA, Association for Energy Affordability, is our implementation contractor. Okay, the process, how you go about enrolling in our program, owner application, AEA completes the survey, owner reviews the survey and determines the scope of work. It's really, and then owner signs the owner's agreement and contract. Pretty simple. It's a very simple process. Contractor completes the work. EA reviews the work for quality control, and owner receives the incentive check. So the checks are directly given to the owner. Very simple process. Actually, the AEA, our vendor, really works. We have a lot of account managers at AEA who will walk you through the process. It's very simple to the owners of buildings to participate in our program. The benefits of our program. The free building survey, okay? So we will give you a good understanding of exactly what the cost benefit and the payback analysis of this, what the survey will provide for you. We also provide free in-unit installations. These installations of CFLs, up to 6 CFLs, we will install in each apartment, up to 2 power smart strips, and low-flow devices such as low-flow shower heads and aerators. And these are if your building is on a firm gas rate. The cost savings typically are 40 to 50% of project costs. That's what we will incentivize, and generally it's within a 1 to 2 year payback period. And project flexibility, it's really, we are, the measures that are recommended, we could begin in phases. It doesn't have to be you do all the measures that are recommended. We can do some and then come back and do others as you request. But we certainly can be very flexible. And financing, definitely through New York City Energy Efficiency Corporation, there are financing available. The measures that are eligible. On our gas side, we have up to $15,000 on efficient boilers. Energy management systems, we were hearing earlier about, having these, if you're building, if you install them, we also incentivize them starting at $3,500. Thermostatic radiator valves, CRVs, those are better known. We get $75 per valve. Pipe installation up to $3 per linear foot. Roof and wall installation up to 30 cents per square foot. And on the electric side, on the common area, approximately 40% of the cost we will incentivize. Sensors, $30, LED exit signs, $15, and new LEDs. And our free in unit, as I mentioned before. So these are our eligible measures.
Great, thanks so much. Unfortunately, our representative from National Grid couldn't be here today, so Ken Camilleri, who's one of our grid account managers with Clean Heat, is just going to quickly review some of the incentives that are available through National Grid. And this would be for customers, gas customers who are in Brooklyn, parts of Queens, and Staten Island.
Great. Thanks, Laura. Just a quick overview of the National Grid programs. They do have a commercial, industrial, and multifamily, but we'll focus mostly on multifamily today. In order to obtain incentives through National Grid, very similar to the Con Ed programs, there are two ways, a prescriptive way and a custom. The prescriptive, as you see, are fixed incentives that are paid for installations of specific predetermined energy efficiency measures. As you see, furnaces, condensing hot water units, steam boilers, hydronic boilers, pipe insulation, controls. Those are the simple controls. For custom, this is where you're talking about larger energy efficiency measures, such as specialized installation projects, building management systems, and so forth. As you can see, up to 50% of the installed costs, which include labor and equipment, must be known, and there is a buy down of equipment costs equal to the 1 year payback. These are things that they have to watch out for as far as getting the incentives back to the people. The Multifamily Direct Install Program, new program, which has customers that participate in the program are eligible to receive free installation of the following water conservation measures. As you can see, kitchen faucet aerators, bathroom faucet aerators, and restricted flow shower heads. What happens here is with restricted flow, you end up having to heat up less water. So this is where the energy savings come in. Who's eligible? Buildings with 5 to 75 units in New York City, which in this particular program for National Grid is Queens, outside of what Con Edison has in the northern section, Brooklyn, and Staten Island. And of course, down the Long Island side, it includes the Far Rockaway Peninsula. These free water saving efficiency upgrades installed under this program are certified by the WaterSense program of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and use at least 30% less water than the standard fixtures. This is where your savings are going to come in. A simple timeline as to how to obtain your incentives through the program. Very important to follow these steps. Incentives are generally the lesser of up to 50% of installed costs, which includes equipment and labor. Buy down equipment costs to equal around 1 year payback. And the incentive payments are up to $225 per therm with a cap of $250,000. Looking quickly at the timeline of pre-inspection, these are things that are very important to know. Pre-inspection, very important, because if it's not, and you do the work and then you apply, then you most likely will not get the incentive. So pre-inspection is important. Post-inspection is important. And then, as with Con Edison, the check is received by the customer.
Great. Thanks so much, Ken. So here's just a list of the organizations that we've heard from today. NYSERDA with the Multifamily Performance Program, Con Edison with the Green Team and the Multifamily Program, National Grid with their Multifamily Program for their territory, and then HCR, which runs the Weatherization Assistance Program. So if you're interested in any of these, here's the websites and the phone numbers to call to get more information and to get your project started.